Hello, you guys. Hold up. Alright, there we go. Hello, you guys. GatorGamer CHOMPING into another video. And today, we are reacting to the top 10 most evil humans to have ever lived. And, I don't know who that person is on the left, but I know the one on the right is definitely an ISIST. Is definitely one of the ISISTs. Which, if you don't know what the ISIST is, the ISIS is like a terrorist government long time ago. Or at least I believe that's what they said.
Hello and welcome back to Most Amazing Top 10. I'm Rebecca Felgate and today we're talking
Nice to meet
about
you.
the top
Nice to
10
meet you.
most evil humans to have ever lived. There are a lot to choose from,
like
so
who?
this video could spawn many parts.
Okay, before we play that, the whole world is full of evil. Like, the whole world is evil, too. I mean, like, and the evil people that live on it make it that way. So if most of the good people would work together all the time, then we could probably prevent that. But, and if the whole world, which means every single million of people that were in it, joined forces, which probably won't ever happen, because nobody, that's everybody, well, let me pronounce that better. Not everybody is born good, and yet everybody has good in them, but yet that when they say everybody has good in them, it means that there's also room for for everybody to have evil in them too. So, let's just continue, okay?
This list is absolutely jam-packed with
I
details,
wonder
so
what
let's
this
get
is.
right into it.
Details,
Coming in at
I love
number 10,
details.
we have Mary Ann Cotton. Cotton was hung at Durham County Jail in 1873 following a 20-year poisoning spree. Cotton is often considered Britain's first female serial killer, murdering 21 people in her time, usually for money via insurance payouts. Cotton's poison of choice was arsenic, something that she used to murder her husbands, yes, husbands plural, and her children. That's right, she killed her own children. She was later discovered when police made the connection between the loss of her 3 husbands, some friends, a friend of her mother's, her mother, and her 13 children, all of which had died from sudden stomach fevers. Coming in at number 9, we have Jim Jones.
Jim Jones. So, this British lady was like one of the first women serial killers there, and she killed 21 people with the same kind of poison and stuff. Wow. And including her own family and almost everybody that's probably in it. Oh my god. And like murdered her poisonally murdered her husband and her kids and all that stuff. Oh my god, did you just have your kids just so you can murder them? And what? You couldn't win your husband's argument or something, so you killed him to win or something? Because that's pretty evil. I can see why she's in one of the top 10.
Greedy and evil, Jim Jones was the cult leader of the People's Temple and the orchestrator of the horrific Jonestown Massacre. An American national Jim set up the People's Temple out of frustration with being unable to express his Marxist values. In the end, he kind of developed a god complex and started brainwashing people into thinking that he and the People's Temple were the saviors. He relocated the cult to Guyana and then named their newly acquired land Jonestown after himself. Jim manipulated the press and some respected politicians until they started to disassociate themselves from him. The American authorities became very suspicious of goings-on in Jonestown after reports of violations of human rights from defectors. America sent reporters and a congressman in to investigate the cult, and Jim ordered his army to murder them. Later, realizing his time was up, he brainwashed 909 people into committing mass suicide, 300 of which were children. They all famously drank grape Flavor-Aid laced with cyanide. Coming in at number 8, we have Ian Brady and Myra Hindley.
Bad.
Ian Brady and Myra Hindley are evil for so many reasons, not least the fact that they are disgusting child killers, and they conducted their crimes in the 60s. The pair lived in Greater Manchester and spurred one another on to kill. Their first victim was a friend of Hindley's sister. She was called Pauline Reade.
Wait a minute.
In the
Hold
60s.
up, Rebecca,
the pair
hold
lived
up.
in Greater Manchester and spurred one another on to kill. Their first victim.
That person, I don't know as a kid or an adult, but that person kind of looks like one of the main characters of Stranger Things. Like, I forgot what his name was. But he looks like one of the main character kids in Stranger Things. In, like, the main character that was, boyfriend of L11. That's what this person kind of looks like, if you see a resemblance. And comment down below if you agree too.
Was a friend of Hindley's sister. She was called Pauline Reade, and Hindley used their prior relationship to lure her into their van. Pauline was only 16 when she was sexually assaulted and murdered. The pair raped 3 more times and killed 4 more times. Their victims included 3 boys, 2 of which were aged 12, and a 10-year-old girl. The pair were later arrested following a tip-off from Hindley's brother-in-law, and they later refused to give information about the missing children's bodies to their bereaving parents, which is just horrible. Okay, so this guy comparatively seems a lot worse, but he was living in a different time, although he was absolutely a mega dick. Coming in at number 7, we have Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler was the inspiration behind the legend of Dracula.
Impaler. I see why the Impaler. Look at all the spears that these people are being stabbed on in the back. Can't wait to see how this turns out, because these people are real bad.
Like his fictitious counterpart, he was a very bloodthirsty.
Oh, sorry.
7, we have Vlad the Impaler. Vlad the Impaler was the inspiration behind the legend of Dracula, and like his fictitious counterpart, he was a very bloodthirsty chap. Vlad was alive for a mere 45 years between 1431 and 1476, but in that time, it is estimated that he could have killed around 1,000 people. Vlad was Prince of Wallachia, a historic region of Romania, and to cut a really long story short, he killed everybody that stood in his way of power or threatened his position. He plundered villages and killed armies. How did he kill them? Well, he's not called Vlad the Impaler by accident. He really liked to impale his victims and then proudly display their corpses. He also impaled animals and nailed turbans to the heads of Turkish messengers. He was known to be cruel and wicked within his lifetime, with news of his evil soul becoming a popular story in German courts.
That reminds me of a picture I saw of Jesus in a picture, like what they say was the story of like how Jesus was killed and brought back to life as a test to see if he was Jesus. Like, I seen this picture that Jesus was nailed by his hands and his feet onto a cross and killed in that manner. And I heard from a learning thing that that was a test to prove if he was Jesus and stuff.
Of Germany.
That reminds me of
at
that.
Number 6, we have Joseph Goebbels. Some say this top-ranking Nazi in charge of propaganda was actually way worse than Hitler himself. Deranged, jealous, and erratic, Goebbels was a vicious Jew-hating killer who was a key player in defining the Aryan race and pointing hatred towards Jews. He was also fairly key in the establishment of concentration camps, including Auschwitz. This picture of Joseph Goebbels always haunts me. This is the moment that he found out the photographer was a Jew. At the end of the war, he and his wife murdered their 6 children before committing suicide. Coming in at number 5, we have...
hold up. Speaking of Nazis, let me tell you a story. I'm sorry to keep pausing it, by the way, but I just can't help myself. Speaking of that, let me tell you a story of when I was, like, maybe in the 5th grade. I mean, like, I don't know why, but, like, I had a dog named Hitler. He was a Doberman Pinscher, and he was a German kind of dog. My parents named him Hitler after the Nazi, even though he was named after quite the bad guy. But he was the sweetest dog in the family that we had, and I really miss him. He grew up with me ever since I was probably like 3, and we grew up together until he was like 13. I believe, and I was probably like 14 years old when he died, and I'm 16 nowadays. Anyhow, I was telling everybody in school about my dog Hitler. I loved him so much, and then people were like, "What? Why?" And I did not know about the Nazis. Like, I thought Hitler was just a name. I mean, like, I never was told about the Nazis. I was never growing up to learn about the Nazis. And I was talking about Hitler the Nazi, they thought. And then when I finally learned what they were meaning, I was totally embarrassed. Okay, let's move on.
Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy is one of the most prolific and infamous serial killers of all time. The American, who murdered somewhere between 30 and 100 women, was killed via the electric chair in 1989. Bundy raped most of his victims and kept souvenirs, including body parts and Polaroids of their bodies. When caught, Bundy gave a series of chilling interviews where he described himself as cold-hearted. He also revealed that he would decapitate some of his victims and then have sex with their corpses. Sometimes he would revisit his murder site and would again perform sexual acts on decomposing bodies. Bundy famously said, "We serial killers are your sons, we are your husbands, we are everywhere, and there will be more of your children dead tomorrow." Oh, this guy, gross. He seemed to take a sick pride in being a killer.
Very
Coming in
sick,
at number 4,
yeah.
we have Delphine LaLaurie. Considered one of the most
I know there were probably pretty evil people in life, but yet I never knew that there were people that did this. Like, I never heard of people that ever did this. I didn't know people could... When I thought about other stuff, I thought they were never going to get any sicker. But this is probably like the sickest thing in existence. And no wonder why it's the maddest ones that ever lived.
evil women in the world, let alone New Orleans, this absolute historic she-devil even got her own character on American Horror Story. Delphine grew up as a young, rich beauty in a wealthy white Creole family in New Orleans. After 3 marriages, she brought her own home and installed a slave's quarter in the top floor. Beneath the shiny veneer of her lavishly furnished home, Delphine had a sick secret. The slaves' quarters were actually a secret torture and murder room. She woefully mistreated her staff, but the extent of the horror wasn't known until a fire broke out in her home. The fire marshal searched the top floor, only to find a dozen people chained up, with others in cages. Body parts and severed heads sat in buckets, and organs were strewn across the floor. Delphine never faced justice as she fled to Paris. A recent evil up next at number 3, we have Harry.
You mean she escaped? Do you mean that she escaped? You mean like she went into Paris and never was seen again, and she was never arrested for what she did? Wow.
Harold Shipman was a British doctor who broke the Hippocratic Oath and abused his power to carry out 218 or more sick murders. Shipman killed people by administering them with a lethal dose of diamorphine, and then he used his position as a doctor to sign their death certificates and also to doctor their medical records to suggest that they were in bad health. 80% of his victims were women, usually over the age of 50. However, Shipman has been linked to the death of a 4-year-old boy. His last victim was pensioner Kathleen Grundy, for whom he had forged a will, leaving himself in excess of £300,000. Eventually, he was discovered and sent to prison in 2000, and in 2004, he hung himself on his 58th birthday, reportedly waiting this long specifically so his wife would get his £100,000 pension. Sick. Coming into number 2, it doesn't get much sicker than ISIS. Evil has threaded itself throughout history, and currently one of the most evil selections of people alive reside in a terror cell called ISIS. These deranged killers are pretty much hell-bent on destroying the West and pretend to support Islam in their quest for dominance over the East. ISIS was founded by Abu Musab al-Zarqawi, and the group murder and destroy in the most chaotic way. ISIS were behind the Bataclan massacre, the Tunisia Beach massacre, attacks in Turkey, Syria, Egypt, Yemen, Berlin, and many more. Not only do they carry out sick murders on innocent people, which they often film and put on the internet, they also indoctrinate young Muslims, radicalizing them and encouraging them to leave their homes and join them in Syria, or whichever underground rat hole they're living in. Finally, at number 1, we have a man who is responsible for the deaths of 45 million people.
45 million? Okay, now that is a lot. He's probably the most biggest murderer that ever lived. Probably. Not only the most evil, but probably the most murderous one that ever lived. 45 million people? Who knows? That could be almost everybody on Earth itself. I'm like, who knows how many million or billion people there are, but when you're killing that many people, you're probably killing at least maybe 2/3 of the population itself or something. Or at least that's what I believe. You're probably killing half the world.
We have Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong was the founding father of the People's Republic of China, which was achieved in
Founding father of
1949
China?
after a brutal civil war during which the Communist Party overthrew the government. Mao was cruel on so many scales. He tortured and killed army dissenters and peasants accused of hiding food supplies. But the crux of Mao's cruelty came as he defiantly pushed the Great Leap Forward policy, which aimed to change China from a farming society to a society focused on industry. Unfortunately, this radical shift led to food shortages, sparking the Great Chinese Famine, where between 18 and 30 million Chinese people starved to death. It has been documented that Mao knew that this was happening as the rice yield was not big enough to sustain the population. He is reported to have said it was better for half the population to die so that the other half could thrive. Ultimately, his rule saw the collective untimely deaths of up to 45 million people as a result of famine and corrupt practices he used to obtain and maintain power. Well guys, so that was a really long one, but I think that evil cannot be brushed over. Did you guys learn anything from this list? Let me know in the comment section down below. Also, let me know if you would like a part 2. If there's any lesson to take from this list, I would say don't be evil, be a major babe, because where are all of these people now? Spoiler, almost all of them are dead. So, that's what you get. For now, I've been...
Almost all of them are dead, some of them are arrested, and I think you may or may not have said, don't really remember or know, but like freaking one of them, I think they said that one of them escaped before they were arrested or hanged. Now that can make someone real upset. Anyway, I knew there were like a lot of evil people in this world, but from the evil people that I was thinking, I wasn't thinking about the people being like this, because I didn't think many people would get away with that much massacre. And second, well, those people like back in those days and other whatnot. And well, I guess maybe some of that can happen still. Like, it probably can happen still, but it definitely takes a genius in order to do it without getting caught or without being stopped in the middle of their plan instantly and all that stuff. And, well, several things. But anyway, that's me it for the video, you guys. And if you really enjoyed it, and if you really want me to react to more, then please comment down below, like, subscribe. Please, thank you. That'd be greatly appreciated. And thanks for giving me 53 subscribers. Thank you so much. Bless your soul. Thank you, guys. GatorGamer chomping out. Goodbye.